The story begins not just with concrete and steel, but with a dream that refused to die. A dream so ambitious that for years, people called it impossible. In the heart of Saudi Arabia's Red Sea coast, rising from the desert heat of Jeddah, a structure once left abandoned is now climbing back toward the heavens. This is the Jeddah Tower, soon to become the tallest building ever built by human hands. A skyscraper designed to pierce 1 full kilometer into the sky, redefining what civilization dares to reach. For years, it stood silent, a ghost of ambition half buried in sand. But in 2025, something extraordinary happened. After 7 long years of stillness, the cranes began to move again, the hum of machinery returned, and the dream that had been pronounced dead suddenly came roaring back to life. Today, we're diving deep into how this once-frozen project became the greatest comeback in modern engineering. A story of power, politics, and persistence. To understand the magnitude of this rebirth, we have to go back to the beginning, to the vision that started it all. The Jeddah Tower wasn't just designed to be tall. It was designed to break the limits of architecture itself. When plans were first unveiled, the world gasped. A building 3 times taller than the Eiffel Tower, taller than any skyscraper before it, a structure so high that clouds would form around its upper floors. Designed by Adrian Smith, the same architect who created the Burj Khalifa, it wasn't just another tower. It was a declaration that Saudi Arabia was ready to lead the future. Back in 2018, construction was blazing ahead. 63 floors were already completed, cranes sliced through the desert skyline, and crews from around the world worked under scorching sun and shimmering heat. It was progress at a scale few countries had ever seen. Then, almost overnight, everything stopped. The billionaire driving the project, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, was suddenly arrested during Saudi Arabia's sweeping anti-corruption purge. The main contractor, the Saudi Bin Laden Group, one of the biggest construction firms in the region, was removed. Funding froze. Equipment rusted. Thousands of workers packed up and left the site. And there, standing alone in the middle of the desert, was a 63-story skeleton, silent, gray, and haunting. The dream had collapsed before it could even touch the clouds. For years, the unfinished structure became a symbol of what could have been. Dust collected on its exposed concrete. Wind howled through empty elevator shafts. Locals nicknamed it the tower that never woke up. Engineers whispered that it was impossible to restart, a logistical nightmare too expensive to fix, too politically complicated to touch. But history has a strange way of proving doubters wrong. In January 2025, 7 years after silence fell, the impossible happened. Prince Al-Walid bin Talal returned to the site himself. Cameras captured him watching as workers poured fresh concrete for the 64th floor, the first sign of movement in nearly a decade. That single moment, 1 man, 1 floor, marked the rebirth of the Jeddah Tower. And this time, it wasn't just another construction project. It was a mission, an embodiment of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, the kingdom's bold plan to transform its economy, its cities, and its place in the world. From that day forward, the pace was relentless. What once took years was now being achieved in months. The momentum was unstoppable. By March 2025, the project was adding a new floor every 4 days, an astonishing rhythm that defied even the most optimistic forecasts. By June, workers began installing the first shimmering glass panels that would eventually blanket the structure like a mirror reflecting the Red Sea sun. July brought in the massive Liebherr 355 crane, so tall and powerful it could lift tons of steel in seconds, doubling construction capacity. By August, the tower had reached 70 floors, 310 meters high, already taller than the Eiffel Tower itself. For those watching from afar, drone footage from September 2025 looked surreal. A glowing field of cranes and lights, pulsing like a living organism in the desert night. Hundreds of workers in helmets and reflective vests moved in rhythm, welding, lifting, and shaping the tower as it grew floor by floor. The once dead project was now a city of motion, a cathedral of human determination reborn. But here's where the story gets even more fascinating. The comeback of the Jeddah Tower isn't just about money or manpower, it's about engineering brilliance. The way this building is being constructed is unlike anything ever attempted before. Two separate teams now operate continuously, around the clock. One team focuses solely on erecting new structural floors, while the other follows right behind, installing interior systems, fittings, and reinforcements. The operation never stops. When the daytime temperature reaches a brutal 50 degrees Celsius, crews retreat while night teams take over. Under the glow of floodlights, the desert transforms into a futuristic workshop, alive with the sound of drills and concrete pumps. The building grows in a unique rhythm, a staggered 5-story pattern that ensures structural balance. Concrete needs time to cure, and in extreme heat, that process becomes unpredictable. So instead of building linearly, engineers advance in overlapping layers. It's a precise, almost musical choreography, each team following a pattern designed to maintain perfect equilibrium as the tower rises. And then there's the color, bright yellow Doka formwork systems climbing the structure like scaffolding from a sci-fi movie. These mechanical molds crawl upward with each completed section, enclosing wet concrete, then releasing and shifting higher. It's as if the building is alive, growing cell by cell, heartbeat by heartbeat, toward the heavens. But height comes with enemies. Chief among them, the wind. At a kilometer above ground, air doesn't behave the same way it does on the surface. Gusts twist and spiral, forming powerful vortices that can shake even the strongest skyscraper. Engineers knew they weren't just designing for gravity, they were designing for the sky itself. To survive those brutal forces, the architects studied something surprising: plants. Adrian Smith and Gordon Gill drew inspiration from the desert flora of Saudi Arabia. Plants that stand tall, flexible, and unbroken under violent winds. The Jeddah Tower's solution was equally organic. Its base forms a wide triangular Y shape, with 3 wings that taper as they rise. Each segment subtly twists, allowing air to flow naturally around it rather than crash against it. Instead of resisting the wind, the tower bends with it, dissipating pressure and neutralizing vortex effects. After 3 intense rounds of wind tunnel testing in Canada, the verdict was clear: the design worked. The building could withstand the world's harshest aerodynamic forces without breaking. It doesn't fight the wind, it dances with it. That harmony between form and function is what makes the Jeddah Tower unlike anything before it. But the innovation doesn't stop with its shape. It extends to the very materials holding it together. While most modern skyscrapers rely heavily on steel, this one pushes concrete to its absolute limits. Up to about 600 meters, the structure is made from ultra-high-performance concrete, reaching an astonishing strength of 85 megapascals, far beyond what's used in normal towers. Only in the upper sections does the structure transition to lighter steel components, where flexibility becomes crucial. Concrete, with its minimal thermal expansion, is far better suited to Saudi Arabia's brutal desert conditions. As temperatures swing between searing daytime heat and cool desert nights, the material holds steady, ensuring structural stability for centuries. Beneath all that height lies an unseen world of power, a foundation so enormous it could support a mountain. The tower rests on a 5-meter-thick raft foundation, supported by 270 gigantic board piles drilled more than 100 meters deep into layers of limestone and coral rock. Some of these piles are so wide you could drive a car through them. Together, they anchor the tower to the earth like roots gripping bedrock. Engineers designed the system to limit uneven settlement to less than 25 millimeters. That's about the thickness of a coin. For a building nearly a kilometer tall, that precision is nothing short of miraculous. Every part of the structure is built to endure not just the environment, but time itself. The goal isn't to stand tall for a few decades, it's to last for centuries, symbolizing a nation's rebirth in steel and stone. But the Jeddah Tower isn't just a feat of engineering, it's a human story. Thousands of workers, engineers, and architects from over 30 nationalities now share a single mission: to make history. And while the outside world watches, one question lingers: why now? Why did Saudi Arabia decide to revive a project that many considered cursed? The answer lies in Vision 2030, the kingdom's sweeping plan to diversify its economy away from oil and toward tourism, technology, and global influence. The Jeddah Tower isn't just a skyscraper, it's a statement to the world that Saudi Arabia is no longer a desert kingdom defined by oil rigs and pipelines, but a modern nation capable of redefining the skyline of the future. The government has invested billions into projects like NEOM, the Line, and the Red Sea development, but the Jeddah Tower stands apart. It's not just about attracting tourists or investors. It's about pride. It's about proving that when the world doubted them, they could still touch the sky. As 2025 unfolds, the once stagnant tower has become a living symbol of momentum. From the echoes of drills to the synchronized ballet of cranes, it tells a simple story: ambition delayed is not ambition denied. The future once buried in silence is now roaring back to life, one floor at a time. The second half of this story takes us even higher, beyond the engineering, into the heart of what this structure means for humanity itself. Elevators that defy gravity, glass that fights the sun, and a design philosophy that turns the impossible into routine. When you look at the Jeddah Tower today, you're not just seeing a skyscraper, you're witnessing humanity's desire to outdo itself. Every beam, every floor, every panel represents our refusal to accept limits. And yet, the higher it rises, the more complex every challenge becomes. Building tall isn't just about stacking floors, it's about rewriting the laws that govern how humans live vertically. At 310 meters, the tower already dwarfs the Eiffel Tower. But that's less than halfway. The real test begins as it pushes beyond the clouds, where air thins, wind speeds multiply, and temperature swings become brutal. At that altitude, even the simplest human task, pouring concrete, securing glass, tightening bolts, becomes a battle against physics itself. Every inch demands innovation, and nowhere is that innovation clearer than in how people will move inside the building. The Jeddah Tower will house an astonishing 59 elevators, many of them double-deck, designed to glide through its vertical labyrinth like arteries in a living body. But here's the catch: traditional elevators can't survive such extreme heights. Steel cables would simply snap under their own weight. That's where Finnish engineering company Cone stepped in, introducing carbon fiber cables that are 90% lighter than steel yet 5 times stronger. These aren't ordinary elevators, they're marvels of modern engineering. Each one moves at speeds of up to 10 meters per second, over 22 miles per hour, shooting passengers through sky lobbies, where they'll transfer between elevator lines much like subway travelers changing trains underground. Imagine stepping into an elevator in the lobby, passing hundreds of meters in seconds, and emerging into a glass-walled terrace hovering above the clouds. It's not just transportation, it's an experience designed to make every visitor feel like they're ascending into another world. And speaking of worlds, at level 157, a breathtaking open-air sky terrace awaits, a 30-meter wide platform floating nearly 2 kilometers above sea level. It will be the highest outdoor observation point on Earth. The glass that encloses it will be reinforced and curved to withstand hurricane-level winds, while the floor will subtly flex, absorbing motion so that visitors don't even feel the building sway. Imagine standing there, looking down through layers of haze at the Red Sea stretching endlessly toward the horizon. The thought alone captures why this project has captivated imaginations across the globe. But building such a monument in Jeddah means confronting a unique enemy, the desert climate itself. In a city where temperatures regularly soar past 50 degrees Celsius, heat is not just uncomfortable, it's destructive. Steel expands, concrete cracks, and glass can warp under direct sunlight. So, how do you keep a 1-kilometer skyscraper cool? You do it by turning the building into its own shield. The architects designed deep vertical notches along the tower's facade that act like built-in shade lines, reducing solar heat gain by up to 30%. Each side of the building casts shadows on itself throughout the day, keeping the surface cooler. The glass panels, developed specifically for Jeddah's conditions, use advanced low-emissivity coatings to block infrared rays while preserving the panoramic clarity of the view. This is not ordinary glass. It's a thermal barrier capable of turning back the desert sun while letting in the beauty of the Red Sea. The building's air conditioning systems use something few might expect: nature. By drawing in naturally cooler air from higher altitudes and recycling condensed water from the cooling process, The Jeddah Tower reduces energy consumption and waste simultaneously. Even the elevators play a part in sustainability. Through regenerative braking, the downward motion of an elevator car generates electricity that powers others going up. It's a self-sustaining cycle of motion and energy, proof that luxury and efficiency can coexist. Inside, the Jeddah Tower will function as a vertical city. The lower floors will house an opulent Four Seasons hotel with over 200 rooms offering floor-to-ceiling views of Jeddah's glittering skyline. Above that, 500 high-end apartments will form a residential district suspended hundreds of meters in the sky. Imagine waking up each morning to see the Red Sea painted in gold by sunrise or watching city lights flicker below like constellations on Earth. And that's just the beginning. The midsection will hold premium office spaces, Class A corporate zones for international businesses seeking a base that literally towers above competition. The world's top companies will be able to claim addresses in the sky, their names gleaming across glass panels visible from miles away. Above them, luxury penthouses, exclusive lounges, and the highest observation deck on Earth will define the upper levels. At 2,112 feet, that deck alone will offer an experience no human has ever had before, standing closer to the edge of the stratosphere than any other building on the planet. Each area inside the Jeddah Tower tells a story of purpose. The hotel symbolizes hospitality and culture, the offices represent innovation and commerce, the residences capture luxury and comfort. Together, they create a self-contained ecosystem: restaurants, gyms, gardens, retail spaces, and even prayer room all interconnected in one vertical cityscape. But what's perhaps most impressive isn't just what's being built, it's how it's being built. To ensure precision across 1,000 meters, engineers rely on laser-guided surveying equipment that recalibrates every structural alignment down to a single millimeter. Concrete pouring happens under strict temperature controls, using chilled water and ice flakes mixed directly into the batch to prevent premature setting. Every decision, every calculation, is designed to counter the environment's extremes. Meanwhile, safety protocols push modern construction standards to new heights, literally. Specialized drones inspect welds and exterior joints daily, replacing manual inspection at dangerous altitudes. Robotic arms handle sections of the facade, minimizing human exposure to the desert's intense winds. Even the tower's lightning protection system is state-of-the-art, channeling strikes harmlessly into the ground through titanium conductors embedded within the core walls. It's an orchestra of technology, precision, timing, and innovation all moving in perfect harmony. And behind the curtain stands a coalition of global heavyweights: Turner Construction from the United States, Dar Al-Handasa from Lebanon, and Adrian Smith plus Gordon Gill Architecture from Chicago, all working side by side with Saudi engineers and workers, united under one dream. It's an international collaboration unlike any other, where expertise from across continents converges in the desert to build history. As of September 2025, drone footage confirms the tower stands at roughly 45% completion. Its silhouette already dominates Jeddah's skyline, dwarfing every neighboring building like a monument to the future. The goal is set: full structural completion by August 2028. At the current rate, roughly one new floor every 3 to 4 days. That target doesn't seem like wishful thinking. It feels inevitable. When finished, the Jeddah Tower will surpass not just the Burj Khalifa but every human-made structure ever attempted. Its total height will officially break the 1,000-meter mark, nearly 1 kilometer straight up. It will house more glass, more concrete, and more reinforced steel than any building in history. And yet, its real power won't come from its numbers. It'll come from its symbolism. Because what the Jeddah Tower represents goes far beyond architecture. It embodies a national rebirth. For decades, Saudi Arabia was seen as a country defined by oil wells and desert sands. But with Vision 2030, the kingdom is rewriting its story, from an energy exporter to an innovation hub. The Jeddah Tower is the crown jewel of that transformation, a visible sign of ambition that refuses to bow to skepticism. For Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, who once saw his dream crumble before his eyes, this project's revival is deeply personal. Standing again at the construction site in 2025, watching cranes rise and concrete pour, He described it as the rebirth of an idea. It wasn't about money anymore. It was about legacy. About proving that Saudi Arabia could take on the most difficult engineering challenge in the world and win. And yet, it's not just about Saudi Arabia. The Jeddah Tower's message echoes far beyond the Middle East. It tells every nation, every architect, every dreamer that no vision is too bold, no delay too long, no setback final. The structure may belong to Jeddah, but its spirit belongs to humanity. It's a monument to resilience, showing that progress doesn't die, it only waits. By the time it opens, the Jeddah Tower will redefine how people think of cities. It will force us to reconsider how vertical living can solve horizontal problems, how limited land can still host limitless opportunity. As urban populations continue to grow, skyscrapers like this one aren't just luxury statements. They're blueprints for survival. When the final spire is installed and the lights flicker on for the first time, the Jeddah Tower will do more than break records. It will break perceptions. It will prove that after decades of being defined by oil and tradition, Saudi Arabia is now defined by creativity, innovation, and courage. What was once dismissed as an unfinished relic of ambition has now become a living symbol of rebirth. From a silent skeleton in the sand to a glowing beacon above the clouds, the Jeddah Tower's journey mirrors that of every great human achievement, one built on failure, revived by faith, and completed through sheer determination. And so, as the cranes continue their climb and the workers push through the relentless desert heat, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. This is no longer just a construction site. It's a message to the world that dreams deferred are not dreams denied. When the Jeddah Tower finally touches the 1-kilometer mark and its shimmering crown meets the sun, humanity will have done something profound. We will have built a monument not just to power or wealth, but to endurance, the unyielding belief that we can always go higher, no matter how many times we fall. From the silence of its abandoned past to the thunder of engines and cranes today, the Jeddah Tower stands as proof that the future belongs to those who refuse to stop building. It's not merely a skyscraper, it's a story. A story about what happens when vision outlives doubt. A story of how a nation, once defined by its deserts, learned to build its own horizon. And when that horizon finally glows, illuminated by the lights of the world's tallest building, one thing will be clear: humanity has once again reached upward, and this time, we didn't stop halfway. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the return of the Jeddah Tower and the unstoppable rise of modern engineering, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more incredible stories about the world's mega projects, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter in our global journey of innovation and ambition. Because the story of Jeddah Tower isn't ending, it's still climbing, one floor at a time.